Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's Myles. This weekend we have a huge fight card. This is for all the marbles. I mean, this is like Game 7 of the NBA Championship Finals. In one corner we have Khabib Nurmagomedov, and in the other corner we have Justin Gaethje. Two exciting and two of the baddest 155-pound fighters in the world. Before we get into the picks, guys, make sure to drop a comment below. Let me know who you think's going to win and how. I'm going to jump in there. I'm going to respond to some of those comments, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on these fights, these mega fights. On paper, Khabib is one of the best fighters ever, possibly the GOAT of the lightweight division. He's 28-0, and he mauls everybody. His takedowns, his cage work, his ability to stay on top, ground and pound opponents, and force them either into submission, like a rear naked choke, or just TKO them by ground and pounding them from mount positions, or tapping their arm out like he did against Michael Johnson. Khabib really hasn't even lost a round. I mean, he's undefeated and he really hasn't faced too much adversity, which kind of is a good thing because he's super confident, he knows how to win, and stylistically, man, he's a bad matchup for everybody because he can take you down. He controls where the fight's going to go. Now on the other side of the cage, you have Justin Gaethje. Man, this guy is built for war and he's been in some of the most exciting fights. His fight with like Eddie Alvarez, dude, was that a banger. His fight with Dustin Poirier, that was a banger. Justin Gaethje has defeated everybody that's in front of him besides Eddie and Dustin. And those were two fights that he had to take a step back on his way of fighting and make some adjustments with his head coach, Trevor Whitman. And he had to grow as a fighter because he wants to win a world title and be the best fighter ever. So he's smart enough to understand to be able to do that, he's got to make adjustments. Not just be an exciting fighter that goes for broke every time, but also a world-class athlete that can pick opponents apart, like he did against Tony Ferguson. Man, was that a beatdown. And Tony's one of the best fighters in the UFC and possibly in the world. He was riding a 12-fight win streak, just destroying people. And Justin Gaethje, I was actually there live for that fight. Justin broke him down piece by piece. Right hands, leg kicks. Dude, he looked really, really great in that fight. Logically, you have to go with Khabib for this fight, and I understand that because he's undefeated, he hasn't lost a round, and it makes sense in the mind. But to me, this is the fight game and anything can happen. And I'm going to take the underdog in Justin Gaethje. And here's why. Now, before I even get into it, I already know there's going to be people DMing me, people leaving comments, people sending messages because Khabib has a lot of fans out there and they all really believe in him. So I'm sure I'm going to get some nasty messages. But I really believe that Justin Gaethje has some great opportunities to beat Khabib. Now, Justin Gaethje is no stranger to wrestling. He grew up wrestling his whole life, and he's actually a pretty good wrestler himself. I'm not saying he's up there with Khabib, but he actually has really, really good wrestling. He just doesn't really ever use it in any of his past fights. Now, I think Justin's best chances of winning this fight is to create some type of scrambles or some type of positions when Khabib's trying to take him down to where Justin can land some damaging shots. Now, Gaethje has the ability to knock you out with only like 2 inches. He doesn't need some big strike. Look at his fight with Edson Barboza. He literally just threw a hook like this, boom, and knocked Edson Barboza clean out. One of the nastiest Brazilian kickboxers in the UFC. So I think that's where Justin's going to have an advantage is if he can defend a takedown or create some type of havoc to where there's just a little opening for him to land an uppercut or just a little hook. Maybe he's going to shift, throw a big hook. Or maybe it's just going to be a chop and right leg kick to bust up Khabib. Those are the openings that I see for him. If he sits there and tries to be defensive, it's not going to be a good night for him. But that's not how Justin fights. He's going to come out. He's going to get in Khabib's face. Obviously, Khabib's going to want to shoot, take him down. And I think in those little exchanges, when these two collide, I think there's going to be a little openings for Justin to crack Khabib. And here's the thing. Khabib has never been dropped in a fight. Khabib has never really even lost a round. So I really think that's going to come into play because Justin Gaethje has an advantage of being in wars, losing, coming back from adversity, and winning, making adjustments and winning. And Khabib has never had that. He's used to winning, but he's used to everything going in his way. And I think Justin's one of those guys that's going to mix it up and give him some adversity that he's never seen. And that's going to create openings, and that's going to give Justin Gaethje the opportunity to win. Let's not forget about Michael Chandler, who just got signed with the UFC. Man, he's 5'8", he's a juggernaut, all Division I wrestler, heavy hands, good boxing, And UFC brought him in to be a replacement fighter just in case Khabib or Gaethje gets hurt. So that's very, very interesting. Michael has been out in Abu Dhabi all week. He's going to weigh in, and he's going to be that backup fighter. So just in case Khabib gets hurt or sick or Gaethje, he's going to step in to fill in for those guys. Which is crazy because Michael is going to be having an opportunity to fight for the UFC Championship of the World. Remember, Khabib and Justin. Justin's interim champ, Khabib's undisputed champ. So whether he fights either of those guys, he's going to get a shot at that world title, which is insane if you look at it, because a couple months ago, he was fighting in Bellator and he wasn't even anywhere in the mix. Now, stylistically, I think Chandler presents a lot of problems for either fighter. Chandler's short, Chandler's hard to take down, and he's hard to hold down. And on top of that, he's explosive. He can go 5 rounds. And going up against Khabib, I think he has a great opportunity. I personally think that Chandler can stick, move, and Khabib really won't be able to take him down. And if he does, I don't think Chandler's going to be able to stay down, because Chandler pops up. He's got the Division I wrestling, getting wrist control. He knows how to get back up. And I really think that he can stick, he can move, and he can give Khabib a lot of trouble. I think Chandler's speed advantage really will give Khabib a lot of trouble as well, because if you look at when Khabib fought Michael Johnson, he got cracked. Michael Johnson's a little bit smaller and very, very fast. I think Chandler brings that explosiveness to the cage. So I would predict that Chandler would beat Khabib as well, possibly a decision. Now on the other side of the cage, you have Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje. Dude, this is a bloodbath. These two guys go for it, highly offensive. They both take a lot of damage in their fights. And honestly, from a fan's perspective, this is just a super, super exciting matchup. I mean, I'm super excited about this one more than any of them, really. Just like I'm excited when you smash that thumbs up button and that subscribe button. It's free and it only takes 1 second. I'll wait. Now, I really think that Justin Gaethje will give Chandler a lot of problems, though. And here's why. Chandler is very, very heavy on his front foot. And Gaethje, I really think, would just cover up, chop that leg a couple of times, take a lot of power off of Chandler's punches, and Chandler really wouldn't have that opportunity to catch him on the feet as much. I think the wrestling, I think they would both cancel each other out. And personally, I don't see either of them trying to take the other one down. I think once they get out there, one of them gets punched in the face, they're going to get a little crazy and just really go for broke, which is going to make it super exciting. I think Justin Gaethje's boxing's a little cleaner, and I think he shifts and does a little things different than Chandler. So I would really lean towards Justin Gaethje beating Michael Chandler, but Michael Chandler has that championship heart, and he has the ability to push a heavy pace for 5 rounds, and you can never count that out. That's an X factor right there. Never, never count somebody like that out. So at the end of the day, I really think these are all super exciting matchups, whether Chandler steps in or whether Khabib and Gaethje ended up going fighting for that world championship. Also on this card, you have Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier. Robert Whittaker is a former UFC middleweight champion, and he's had wins over Yoel Romero. He's fought the best of the best. He has very, very slick boxing, very good footwork. You know, he comes out, he throws side kicks to the knees, moves his head a lot. Man, and he has a heavy, heavy pace as well. He will push those 5 rounds, and he's been in there with the best, like the defending champion right now, Israel Adesanya. Although he didn't win that fight, he had some good moments in it. He had some good moments also when he fought Darren Till recently, who was one of the top middleweights in the world. And on the other side of the cage, though, you have Jared Cannonier, who's not nearly as popular as Robert Whittaker, but man, he has some great wins in the UFC. And his only losses are to the best of the best, guys like Dominic Reyes, who's a weight class up. Or to the defending champion right now, he lost to Jan, who's currently the 205-pound world champion who just defeated Reyes. So Jared has fought some stiff competition, and his only losses are to the best. So to me, I think this is a coming out party for Jared. I really think that Jared's ability to be super, super strong and athletic at 185 pounds, and Jared has a clear mindset, he's focused, and I just really believe that he's going to be able to stalk Robert down a little bit more, crack him with a little bit more of those power shots, and just be a little bit of the bigger, stronger fighter in there. So in my opinion, I give this fight by decision to Jared Cannonier. I think it's going to be a super, super sick fight. Both these guys really want it, and never sleep on Robert Whittaker. But I'm going to go with Jared Cannonier in this one by decision, possibly a TKO. If he catches Robert, drops him, boom, jumps on him, beats him up, I could possibly see that as well. So there you have it. Those are my predictions for UFC 254. This is a sick card coming from Abu Dhabi, Fight Island. Finally, Khabib and Gaethje get to square off for the undisputed, the best 155-pound fighter in the world, to get that strap, to get that world title, all the glory, all the money. Who wants it? Winner take all. And on top of that, you have a huge fight in the middleweight division with Robert Whittaker and Cannonier. So all across the board, super sick fights. And don't forget, you have that Michael Chandler wild card in there. If he gets thrown in, that's even more exciting. So I'm pumped up for it. I hope you guys are pumped up for it. Thanks for sticking around for this whole video. If you haven't already, boom, drop an elbow on that thumbs up button. Subscribe, turn your notifications on, because we're going to keep kicking out some awesome content for you. Make sure, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know who you think's going to win and how. Till next time.